Good evening. Welcome to Dining 101. I'm your host, Mr. Wolfe. Hey, if you're returning after watching some of the other webisodes, I wanted to thank you very much. And if you're new, I want to suggest you go back and watch some of the other webisodes. This is Webisode 8, where we finally get up to the entree, so it's kind of exciting. It's taken a while to get here, and people are getting kind of anxious to get to here. So with this week, I also wanted to introduce a new segment, and that's questions and answers. And that really is the whole idea of Dining 101, is to get a little dialogue going, help people, and answer their questions. And the first one we'll talk about comes to us from Angie from Napa, and we were talking the other day, and she said, hey, sometimes in a busy restaurant, it looks like they're running around, they need a little help, so I like to stack my plates to help the busboy clear the table. Isn't that great? And I said, not so much. Because there's a very particular way that professional restaurant people clear a table, so they can try to clear that whole 4, 5, or 6 top all in one shot. And it usually involves getting all the big plates first, then the littler plates, then the silverware, then the miscellaneous ramekins and whatnot. So if everybody's got their bread plate jacked on top of their entree plate, that's going to screw up that whole deal, and it's probably going to take the busser 2 or 3 trips to clear that table, where originally it would have only been 1 trip. So my suggestion is, as much as you want to help, the way you can help is just leave everything where it is. So without further ado, I'm sorry, there's one other question, and that was Donella from Sunnyvale. Had a great question after last week's webisode about wine service. And after the hostess accepted the wine, and we go around pour, she says, shouldn't we pour all the ladies first and then the men? And technically she's correct. But I wanted to make it not quite so pretentious. This is designed for people throwing a dinner party at their house. I just want them to know what proper wine service is, so they can use that as a benchmark and then kind of get creative from there on however they want to serve the wine. And I thought if they went around and did all the ladies first and then the men, it seems a little pretentious for a home dinner party, and it would make everybody actually not quite as comfortable. So we'll save that for the fancy schmancy 4-star restaurants. So moving ahead, last week we talked about wine service. The week before we kind of left off on our dining experience at the table. And we had talked about the appetizers coming in. I talked about sharing appetizers and how that was all pulled off. And I think we'll just pick it up from there. So now everybody's enjoyed their first course, or their appetizer, starter, whatever kids are calling it nowadays. And one thing that will help the restaurant staff is by really clearly indicating when you're still enjoying your appetizer and when you're completely done with your appetizer. And any really good high-quality restaurant is going to wait until everybody's not only done with that course to clear the entire table, but they're also going to wait until everybody's done chewing. Otherwise, it would seem like they're rushing you. There was a great point made in Miss Manners last week in the newspaper, actually, where they talked about somebody throwing a dinner party, and there was 3 courses, and every course, some busybody person would get up and start clearing the dishes before everybody was done dining. It was really uncomfortable because it kind of feels like you're rushing those people, and then these people are sitting here with nothing in front of them, so it's just awkward for everybody. So relax, enjoy yourself, tell a joke, tell a story. Sorry about that. If you're still enjoying your service, now remember, when you're dining, first things first, you always work from the outside. And so if it's one of those restaurants that gives you 2 forks, just start with the outside fork, whether they're the same size or not. Here they've used a smaller fork, so we'll use that one. So you're eating your starter. Now, at this juncture, this fork has been soiled and this knife has been soiled, so it can never go down on the tabletop again. That would be bad. So you've got to figure out a way to either keep them up like this to keep them off the tabletop, or some people will rest them like this and like that. And I'm not really particular on how you do it. You just can't get a knife all schmutzy and then put it right back on the table. So when you're eating, figure out a way to keep them up. This is pretty handy because you've got your fork here and your knife here. You're also up and put them up like this if you like. That would tell us that you're still dining. And then once you're done consuming that first course and nobody else wants to pick off your plate or whatnot, then that's the juncture where your fork and knife come down at what we call the 4 o'clock position. Very simple. It lets the universe know that you're done with that. And there's also a reason for it. They're typically going to serve you from the left, and they're going to clear from the right. It's called lower left, raise right. It's real simple, basic restaurant rule. Now, if it's awkward and you're against a wall, it's not going to occur, but maybe in a booth it might not occur either. Or maybe if you're smooching with this person over here, they're going to just go ahead and go with plan B. But at any rate, the reason this is at 4 o'clock is so when this person comes from the right to clear that plate, they can easily grab your plate underneath like so, and see how the thumb comes right like this, and the thumb can secure the fork and the knife as that gets pulled away, so it's not flying all over the place. And you know, I had the other night where a fork went right into somebody's wine glass and it splashed everywhere. You don't want knives flying in you and stabbing you in the eyeball. That would put a little damper on the evening, wouldn't it? So right here at 4 o'clock, and that makes the whole clearing process better. So let's say the busboy's taken all that away, and now you're going to want to continue talking about your story or joke. So now you've got your elbows on the table, which we're going to allow in between courses. But now the waiter's got to get you marked or set up for the next course. So when they come with the fresh fork and the fresh knife, you've just got to back off a little bit, be observant, and let them drop that knife in like so, the fork in like so. Easy as pie. Now you can go back to your story, and now we're ready for the entree to arrive. A couple other little hints right here. If you've got to excuse yourself to go to the restroom, now would be a great time. But I advise you go as soon as they clear that appetizer, because you've got about a 7 to 9 minute window before your next course arrives. So I would say, you know, excuse yourself from the table, go do whatever you got to do, and then get back to the table before that 9 minutes. What happens a lot of times is they'll be chit-chatting along, and then 8 minutes later, Susie decides she's got to go to the powder room, and then the entree arrives, and then again it's awkward for everybody. Does the restaurateur decide to serve it and let it get cold at the table? Do they take it back to the kitchen and pretend like they're keeping it warm for Susie? Do they serve the other people and keep hers warm and then wait till she returns? It's just awkward for everyone. So I would suggest to take care of your business right away. As soon as that first course is cleared, get back to the table. This would apply to smokers as well. But get back there so when the entree arrives, everybody's there and the dining experience continues forward. So now we're marked for the entrees. Now the entree is going to come in. They're going to serve it from the left, hopefully. Voila, there's your dinner. Doesn't that look delicious? We wait till everybody's served, of course. And then once everybody's served, we can begin dining the main course. All right, we've got our fork and our knife. We're eating right along. I'm almost embarrassed to bring this up, but there's some other real kind of basic things. I'll just throw them out as I think of them. If you've got a nice, beautiful steak that's perfectly grilled, you're going to want to cut off each bite and eat it as you cut it, and it'll keep it warmer that way, and it'll keep all the juice in it that way too. Every so often you'll see some cat roll in and he'll cut the whole thing up this way, then cut it up that way, almost like he was cutting it up for a baby or something. And I know it's more convenient in the long run because then you can just mow down that steak as soon as you want, but all the juice is going to run out and it's going to get colder faster. So I would suggest you just slice off one piece at a time. All right, there's a couple of things. You don't ever want to salt your food or season your food until you've tasted it. Maybe you've got plenty of salt, and if you throw salt on there before you taste it, now you're screwed because you can't get that salt off of there, right? Couple other real little basics here. When you have something on your fork, you're expected to eat that entire thing in one bite. You can't put like a whole shrimp or a whole scallop on there and then just eat half of it and leave the other half on there. That would be bad. So cut that shrimp in half or cut the scallop in half and just consume everything on your fork. And you never, ever, ever want to leave your fork and knife there and have food on your fork, because that's just wrong, and again, it's confusing for everybody. So let's move forward. Now we're done with the entree. Everybody's done. They're not going to clear you till everybody's done. And you're going to have your fork and knife at 4 o'clock, just like we did the appetizer, and now they know you're done. At this point, they'll clear this away to the right, and they'll probably take the bread plate as well as any butter things or ramekins or sides of sauce, and salt and pepper should all be removed. Anything that doesn't need to be on the table at that point should all come off the table. So that'll go off like so. Back to the dishwasher you go. Bread plate is done. We're not going to keep eating bread after our entree because, again, that's weird. We feel like we didn't give you enough foods, and if that's the case, tell us earlier so we can bring you more. So that's gone away. Now we're kind of done. We're happy. We just had a beautiful meal. We got some wine. We're going to wrap up our stories here. Again, we're going to come forward. If you want to get on your elbows, that's fine by me. But now when the waiter comes with a dessert menu, you've got to remember to kind of roll back, let the dessert menu come in. Because dinner's still rolling. We've got cheese course to go, desserts to go, or maybe mignardises to go, coffee service after that. And then we're going to look over the desserts and hopefully select something for ourselves or maybe to share. But it looks like we're running short on time, so I'm going to take the rest of this dinner and we'll throw it on next week. So I hope you'll join us then, next Monday night at Dining 101. This is the companion webisode to dining101.net, where you can learn all about dining etiquette from Mr. Wolfe. And again, I encourage you to follow me on Facebook or Twitter or on my blog or directly to the website. Ask me your questions, give me your feedback, and I'll respond as soon as I possibly can. Until then, dine well, dine right.